All right, so it is July 29th. We are basically at the trade deadline here. We're probably going to call back up. Let's just check on how he's doing here. He's got a mild shoulder strain for a week. That's fine. He's doing his thing in AAA, so we're going to call him up here. Walking at an absurd rate in AAA. We're going to call him back up to the big leagues here. The question is, who do we send down? Is Colin Walsh the guy? Yeah, we're just going to send down Colin Walsh. He goes down back to the AAA. Damon Dews comes back up. So now Damon Dews is back in as our second baseman, back in the leadoff spot. That's what we want to see. And as we can see by the standings, we're finally having a season where we're not like 1 or 2 games over 500 of the trade deadline, and we're still 7 games back in the division, but 1 game back in the wild card, because it just seems like the American League as a whole is much stronger as it has been, especially the AL West. Usually the AL West is like whoever wins it has like 91 wins. But I guess the Texas Rangers are just all of a sudden some incredible powerhouse in this league. So, yeah, so we're 7 games back, so we're not like out of it in the West, but the wild card's probably more realistic for us. And as you can see here, Gilbert's and Tompkins, I guess Perez, Soroka, and Gilbert, those guys have been okay. They've been good enough. Tompkins here has not been great. I'm pretty sure not even like as of late. I guess his ERA's been good in July, but everything else is not. The ERA I guess he's getting lucky, I guess, because the FIP is pretty high. But as a whole, our pitching staff is still very solid league wide. Apparently, we're good at base running, and that's the only thing we're good at offensively. But we're still 3rd in starters ERA, 1st in or 2nd in runs against, 3rd in starters ERA, 1st in bullpen ERA, 4th and 5th in FIP. Still a very solid defensive and pitching team. We just can't hit yet again, even though we have all these guys. We have Evan White, who's hitting very well. We have Jared Kelnick, who's still being Jared Kelnick for us. We've got Rusty Bynum, who is very much coming to his own now, and he's probably one of our best bats, if not the best bat. Chris Parks has started to turn things around a bit recently, I believe. Yeah, see, July here, he had a pretty good July. I don't expect him to hit for power, obviously, so the slugging numbers really don't matter for him. It's more just about if he's getting on base even a decent amount, which it's definitely better this month than it has been recently. And he's also an extremely good defensive third baseman, so you always want one of those. Joe Burrows has started to turn things around a bit as well. He is not great, but he's fine. He's been fine in left field. Josh Lowe has not been great. He still has 20 home runs, though, but like I said, not great. And then Damon Dews just came back, but he was doing his thing in the leadoff spot. I'm thinking it's going to help a little bit now that he's back in the leadoff spot, getting on base a lot more and just setting up more runs to be driven in. All right, I changed this a bit around because I did not like Parks being in the 2-hole. So we're now forcing Kelnick to have the 2-hole lineup, White to be the 3-hole, and then Bynum to be the 4th hitter. And then they've got Lowe, Burrows, Parks, Whitty, and Hancock, which I'm fine with. So this is very much something I'm liking here, the top 5 guys. And then it's 6th with Burrows. But if we can pick ourselves up like a third baseman maybe, because I like Parks. Everybody loves Parks. He's got the really high contact, the really high avoid K. He's really good defensively. He should be able to like at least do something, especially with the gap power. You'd think he'd be able to hit a lot of doubles and get himself a high slugging percentage that way, or at least a decent slugging percentage, which is what he's basically done in the minor leagues when he has higher slugging percentages. But right now it's not coming through. And I guess I wouldn't mind shifting Parks to shortstop if we really needed to. Like he wasn't great at shortstop defensively with the ZR rating, but or ZR rating is redundant, but you know what I mean. But I mean, it's not like Whitty is being great defensively there either, as if we look at his ZR at shortstop, it's minus 0.5. So it'd be basically the same thing with Parks at shortstop as opposed to Whitty. But I think that's really the only spot we have to upgrade is like third or shortstop. Because like I just don't want to move any of the other guys. Like the outfield is what it is. Like, I mean, maybe Burrows could become a fourth outfielder. I guess I wouldn't mind that. Like, if there is, like, an outfielder. So, like, let's take a look at who's even there for the trade block. So we have it on all batters now, and, I mean, I don't really want to trade with a division team to get somebody like Gallo, and also Gallo's been really, really bad this season. Just all of a sudden is just like, hey, I'm not going to hit anymore. I mean, I guess he is 34, about to be 35. He still has one more year, so I wouldn't even want to trade for him anyways, because he is, someone who, what am I trying to say? He is someone who is going to be getting paid a lot of money to do nothing this season and next season. Matt Chapman, same deal with him. He's old, not performing anymore. We don't need him. JP Crawford, we've learned our lesson with him already. I'm not trying to trade for him and then have him do absolutely nothing for us. Nate Lowe here. He's probably the best bat, like, performance-wise available on the trade block. The thing is, he's a first baseman, and that's, like, the one position that we don't need to improve on, because we have White, Bynum, Dews is basically a first baseman playing second base, and then we've got Michael Busch. So, like, we don't... he would have literally nowhere to play. I guess we could try to get Verdugo. Wait, how did they get him for $500K? He signed a minor league contract with them? I mean, he hasn't been, like, he's been okay this year, but I mean, it looks like he's on the bench for them. He hasn't been great in July, but like I said, he's been on the bench. Like, maybe if he plays every day, he'd be better, because it does seem like, if we go to his career hitting stats here, when he plays every day in Boston, aside from 2027, even 27, his numbers weren't bad. I mean, we would take those 2027 numbers to help out our team the rest of the season. But I mean, if he could channel some sort of, like, his career in Boston, I mean, I would take that. And then if we also trade for somebody cheap like Verdugo here, that also gives us the ability to go out and possibly try to swing a trade for a lefty reliever. You would think maybe Alvarado, because he's been historically really good in this series, but he has not been great this year, so I'm not really trying to go after him. I mean, we could. Or we could go and bring back Taylor Gilbo, who's pitching well in Colorado, and I mean, it just naturally makes sense that if we trade for a guy who's pitching well in Colorado, that those numbers are going to get better in a park like T-Mobile. Alright, so we're just going to do this. We're literally going to swap this random 23-year-old who we drafted from Brick, New Jersey. The thing is, he has been really bad. He has never been any good in the minor leagues for us, and he's just not going to be anything for us. So we're going to trade him, and we're going to pick up Alex Verdugo here as a bat to help us out the rest of the season. And we're just going to send Christian Franklin here back down to AAA, and Verdugo takes his spot on the roster. Yeah, so now Burrows becomes the fourth outfielder, and Verdugo becomes our starter in left field, while Kelnick is still in right, and Lau, or Lowe, whatever his name is in center. Taylor Gilbo is even easier to get because he is a reliever, and we can just literally give them this 29-year-old guy that the AI signed to fill out A-ball, and we get Taylor Gilbo to help out our Major League team. So we're going to do it. Taylor Gilbo, come on down. Help us out the rest of the year. In order to make room, we're just going to send Jack Walker back to the AAA. Gilbo takes his spot. Never mind, we need to also make room on the 40-man. Jordan Savicul, we're going to take him off the 40-man roster, and Taylor Gilbo is going to come onto it. And we are doing another, just literally trade nobody, this guy who is in A-ball as a 30-year-old that the AI signed. We're just going to trade him to the Red Sox, and we're going to pick up Sheldon Noisy, who's having a very good season at third base. He's going to come in, play third base for us, and hopefully he helps out the bats a little bit here. And Chris Whitty is the man to go down, so he's just going to go down to AAA instead of AA, and he's going to work on his stuff down there while Sheldon Noisy comes. Need to make room for him. Pat Anderson removed off of the 40-man roster. Sheldon Noisy onto the 26-man roster. And there you have it. Noisy becomes the third baseman. Parks becomes the shortstop. Dews is at second. Verdugo's in left. And then on the pitching side of things, Gilbo becomes the setup guy with Ken Deppen. Rodulfo and Halter down here. Ibar becomes a specialist. I'm not sure if I like that, but he becomes a specialist, and we are going to now keep things chugging on with the season. All right, so New York is the Mets have claimed Jason Savicul. That's fine. I was just curious who's in waivers here, and I was like, wow, Austin Adams is in free agency, but or not free agency, in waivers, but he's not even worth claiming because he's been really bad, and he's on a 2-year deal, so I'm not trying to acquire that. We are going to claim Trey Winginter, though, and find room for him on the Major League roster because he's been very good in 20 innings with Kansas City, and they're just waiving him for no reason. So we're just going to get this guy for free to help us out here. Even though I don't want to, we are going to have to waive and DFA Michael Busch and just hope he doesn't get claimed. But if he does, that's fine. We're making room on the roster here. And now Mike Soroka has a strained abdominal muscle, and we're going to have to throw him on the IL here for 15 days. And we're just going with Jeremy Pena. Jeremy Pena is going to come back up to replace Soroka's spot in the roster. And now Garabito ends up being a starter. He's going to get a few starts while Soroka's out, which is fine. Hopefully he's able to just get through those. Absolutely massive series we just had against the Texas Rangers here. It was a 4-game set at home. We took 3 of the 4, and we're still 8.5 games behind them here, but just massive set to get back in the in like a good outlook here, because we are starting to really fall off. Not a great situation we've gotten ourselves into here. And that's not good. Ben Tompkins just tore his UCL. I mean, just, of course, this is a classic Mariners luck here. He has a really good season in 2027. We get him to a team-friendly extension to buy his arbitration, so he follows up that year by being garbage the entire season, and then he follows that up by, towards the end of the season, tearing his UCL, so he's going to miss a good chunk of next year, too. Just fantastic stuff here, as Ben Tompkins goes on the IL, 60 days. And just because there's really nobody else to call up from AAA, our AAA team has been really bad this season. We're calling up this guy, Emmy Morel here, a lefty. We signed him in the offseason last year as a minor league free agent signing. And he has been pretty solid in AAA this year. I don't know why this guy's so good, but we're going to give him a shot. He's going to come up, and he is going to pitch in the major leagues. And now we've got Garabitos and Raldufo in the rotation, as Dunn, Perez, and Gilbert is now 1 through 3. And we're still waiting for Soroka to come back from his injury. He has unknown days left on the injury, and then Cody Hosey is a couple days into his rehab assignment where he's been paying pretty well. And I think we're going to bring him up here as we are going to send down Cermak to AAA, and Cody Hosey comes back up to the big leagues. And here he is. Mike Soroka is now eligible to come off the IL. We're going to throw him on a rehab assignment, let him get a few starts down there, and then he'll come back up. Also, Luke Hancock was hitting for a bit, but he's not doing it anymore, so we're going to send him back down to AAA, and Susak's going to come back up to the bigs. Also, apparently, Justin Dunn was just suspended for 6 games because he got in a bench-clearing brawl with Chad Reed of the Philadelphia Phillies, who is like their best player. Or at least what they think is going to be their best player for a long time. He was their first-round pick, 3rd overall in 2023. Hasn't had a great year, but, I mean, he fought Justin Dunn. Classic shit here as we trade for Noisy, and now he's immediately like, yeah, I'm just awful now. So, I mean, he's not even worth having on the Major League roster at this point if he's going to put up that type of production. So I think I have an idea. We're about to be here at the expansion, so if we want to call up anybody to ensure that they have a chance to be in the playoff roster if we end up making the playoffs, we need to call them up now. As you can see here, Grajales has been very much better in July and August. If we look at his AAA splits for total, he has very much improved so far in AAA. I also just recently got a message that he had a 21-game hit streak going, and I'm thinking that we're going to call him up. The thing is, he refuses to be demoted, so we are going to DFA Sheldon Noisy. Just traded for him. Thankfully, we gave up absolutely nothing for him. And we're just DFAing him. If he gets claimed, whatever, and then we're just going to release him. If you're wondering how Marte is doing in AAA, really not even hitting in AAA. Not getting on base. We're probably going to try to trade him in the offseason. But Grajales here is going to come up to the major leagues and play for us. Cody Hosey is our backup infielder right now, and he also has not been great this year. So we're gonna waive and DFA him, but hopefully we're able to. The thing is, he's gonna want a lot of money, so he's probably not gonna be back next year either. But Hosey also getting waived and DFA'd, and we're just gonna bring Chris Whitty back up to the major leagues. All right, so we are here at the roster expansion. We are not performing well. It's not good to see. We're 8 games back in the West. We're 5 games back in the wild card. If we look at the standings here. We're 6-4 in our last 10. It's not looking good. It's not looking good right now. We're kind of struggling to piece things together here. But it is now the roster expansion here, and I just got a message. I've been seeing a lot of messages for Ron Kennedy here, who was our 18th overall pick in 2025. As you can see, overall numbers, not the greatest this season, but I've been getting a lot of messages recently being like, hey, he's tearing the cover off the ball, and as you can see, July and August definitely is tearing the cover off the ball in Double-A. He doesn't want to be in the big leagues, but we're going to put him in the big leagues. He's going to come up with the September call-ups here and be a bench bat for us. And maybe he can just do something, and then next year the plan is for him to take one of the spots that opens up when we lose a bunch of our players at the end of this season. So Ron Kennedy here up to the big leagues as one of the September call-ups. And then the other one is just going to be, we're going to leave whoever's up right now, at least I think. Never mind, Emmy Morrill here is getting absolutely rocked in the Major League, so we're going to waive and DFA him. We still have 2 spots. One of them is going to be Soroka, who has pitched in 2 games down in AAA. He's been fine, so we're just going to have him come back up to the big leagues here. And just because we don't have really any other options, and I want to see what we have in this guy, Cody Brackett is the guy we drafted in the first round in 2026. Hasn't been great in the minor leagues, but he's in AAA. Let's just see if he can do something here. Cody Brackett's going to come up, and he's going to be a part of the September call-ups. All right, so Noisy, nobody claimed him, so we're going to release him, pay the rest of his contract for this season. And Chris Parks just got a sore elbow. It's a minimal effect, though. So I think we're just going to keep him in here just because we don't really have any other options, so we're just going to keep rolling with Chris Parks. And of course, we leave him in, now he fractures his ulna. Just fantastic, so Chris Parks is now definitely out. Literally breaks this frickin' arm, so now he's on the IL. And I guess we're just going to go with Marte. Marte is going to come back up to the big leagues, and he's going to do something. Alright, so it is September 19th right now, and as you can see, we are 8 games out of the West. Probably not going to happen here, but we still have a legitimate shot in the wild card. The Red Sox and the Angels are the 2 teams there. Royals are a half game back. We're 3 games back, and then the Rays are 3.5 games back. So all 5 of these teams are very much still in the playoff race here for this wild card. Are we going to be able to pull it out? Who knows? We just had a big series. I believe this is we have 2 more series left in the season. It's a 3-game set in Houston to end it, and before that, a 3-game set that we're about to play in Texas. But we just swept the Astros in a 4-game series, and we are now 1 game back from the wild card. We're trying to catch the Angels here, who are in our division, and we even still have a chance at being the top wild card team. So huge series here against Texas, and then Houston to end the year. Also, Cody Brackett here has been incredibly bad, so we are just going to throw him back down to AAA here, and we're going to call somebody else up to take his spot. We're just going to bring up Christopher Cruz here, who we got in that Jacksonville Herons deal in 2026. He's going to come up and be on our bullpen here for the last 2 series of the season. Big win! First game of the set, we win at 8-5. Soroka came in, 6 innings, struck out 7. Great to see Garrett, Garabitos, and Gilbo in the pen. Not good. Very not good. Garabitos, our best reliever. Also a solid starter, even when I guess, what's even as a starter? Yeah, solid starter. So Garabitos is out for 6 weeks. Not good. Extremely not good. The worst thing that could happen to our bullpen, honestly. So he has to come out, but we did just win this game 12-0. So that's back-to-back wins against Texas here. That's 8 innings from Justin Dunn. Just fantastic. 8 shutout innings from Dunn, and then Pena came in and closed the door. Got 2 Ks in an inning, and we smack around the Rangers here, and we've won that series guaranteed. I would like to still sweep them and then move on into this Houston Astros series, as we're still 1 game back in the wild card, and we've actually got up to only 4 games back in the division. And really the only option we have to call up here is Aquino, so Ismael Aquino is going to come back up to the big leagues. Alright, so we did not win this game, a 3-0 loss to the Rangers. Perez pitched very well, 7 innings, only gave up 2 runs. Then Deppen gave up a run in 2/3 of work, but yeah, not a great hitting performance, as Grajales had 3 hits, Verdugo had 2 hits, nobody else really did anything at all, though. And now we move on to the last series of the season. 3 games left, a 3-game set in Houston, who are a bad baseball team. We are 1 game behind the Angels here for the second wildcard spot, and then the Red Sox have a 2-game lead for that top wildcard spot. So anything is possible here. Let's see what happens. The absolute worst thing could happen. That's what happens. We drop the first game 8-4, and then we drop the second games 3-2, and we have been eliminated from playoff contention. Oh my God, man. This is the 3rd consecutive season missing the playoffs, and in total they have not advanced 43 times in their 51-year history. In the last 10 seasons, we've missed it 6 times. Just, I mean, man, and now we're losing, like, all these guys in the season, like fucking Gilbert, White, Lowe, Dunn, Gilbo, we just traded back for. I mean, we're gonna lose Kelnick next season, or after next season. Soroka could decide not to accept this player option. He probably is, though. I mean, not a good situation for the Mariners here. It's very much now fully in a transition period, as let's just send the last game, or we lose that one too. And then also Soroka gets a sore shoulder in that game. Ibar's diagnosis is pending. I mean, we just not good. Not a good way to end the beginning core of this team. So the regular season has come to an end, and yeah, let's just take a look at how our guys did here. The MLB Arms, Justin Dunn had another very solid season. I mean, I was very, very impressed with what he turned out to be for us. He had like 1 bad year in 2025, and then his first year in 2021, and everything else was just really, really good. So Justin Dunn, very solid pitcher for us. Mike Soroka had a solid year. You know, once again, not Cy Young Soroka, but still a solid year. Brian Perez, he had a solid year, and he was healthy the whole season, so that's great to see there. He is a guy who we have on for like a season or 2 more. Logan Gilbert's a 2-WAR season, solid. You know, nothing to complain about there. Gilbo came over in the pen and was very, very good. Like I said, it was very predictable that he was good in Colorado. So even if he's going to be good in Colorado, it's just his numbers are going to be so much better in Seattle, and they were. So Gilbo, he came back to us for the rest of the season, and he did what he did, but still not enough for us to get to the playoffs. Ibar was extremely good in the bullpen this year. That's great to see. Colby Halter was extremely good in the bullpen. Another good guy. Winginter, who we claimed off waivers just for the rest of the season, was not good with us, of course. That's great to see. Ken Deppen got off to a really hot start, but kind of sizzled that at the end of the year. Hopefully he's able to figure it out, though, because he is a guy who potentially is going to be a good starter for us. Miles Garrett, same thing with him, sort of. He got off to a really good start, kind of started teetering off towards the end of the year, but He should be a guy who's with us for at least a couple more seasons, too. Also, I think it's funny that we have both Miles Garrett and Joe Burrows in our Major League team. LJ Newsome here, not the best season, but still okay. They had a negative WAR, probably because he gave up too many home runs, but I mean, still a solid ERA+, not the best OPS against. I believe he has an option. Yeah, he has a team opt-out for this upcoming season, so we could decide not to bring him back. I might honestly end up doing that just because I might want to get somebody else in the pen and just save some money. But yeah, next year's team is going to be looking a lot different. That is for sure. Aquino, we know he was not good. Jeremy Pena is a guy who hopefully these were just like rookie season jitters for him because he was not very good either. I'm not sure why he expects to be a starter because he should never be a starter. And then Roldufo had a down season. He was very good last year, but he had a down year this year, so hopefully he's able to bounce back heading into next year. While on the hitting side of things, yet again, Evan White having a fantastic season. Is that actually the highest WAR he's had in the major leagues? Of course, he has the best season of his career in the last year of his contract for us. So now he's going to be heading into free agency being like, I'm better than ever. And it's just going to be like, hey, give me $50 million per year. And I'm just going to be like, I can't afford that, brother. So, yeah, but Evan White, great to see. 30 bombs. I mean, just a fantastic season from Evan White. There's also Jared Kelnick, obviously. He's still doing his thing. Not quite MVP Kelnick anymore, obviously, but still an extremely, extremely good player. Rusty Bynum. This guy is going to be a stud for us for the duration of his time with us. As he might even take over as the first baseman once White leaves, because I don't know, we'll have to decide, because he could be okay defensively. He's not going to be Evan White, obviously, but he's good enough to play first base. Verdugo was actually really good when he came over, like actually really good, to the point where, like, if he wants like a cheap contract, like, I'm going to be like, hey man, just come on back. Why not? But Josh Lowe is a guy who we're not going to bring back, and also just wasn't very good. Of course, he puts up a 5 WAR last year. We get him, and he's like, hey, I'm going to stink now. Classic Mariners there, man. But Joe Burrows, not as good of a season as he had last year, but similar splits. So I guess, yeah, he actually did. Yeah, he actually had a better season at the plate if you look at the WRC+. But probably wasn't as good defensively. Yeah, not as good defensively, but that's still fine. Joe Burrows. Dylan Dingler, not as good of a year last year, but still pretty solid. I'll take that from Dingler. We have him for this year and next season. Damon Dews got on base quite a bit, but did nothing else. Do we bring him back? Probably, but I'm not sure what really his role is heading. He's probably going to be playing first base, and Bynum will still be DH. Is what we'll probably end up doing. Grajales actually was pretty solid in his 32 games. He came up and was really good, actually, so that's good to see. 22 years old, maybe he's a solid piece for us. Daniel Suzak is a guy who's probably going to end up being the starting catcher once Dingler leaves. Was okay off the bench. That was AAA numbers. He wasn't any good off the bench, actually. He, not a great season, but it was his first chunk of Major League Baseball. So maybe he'll improve as the time goes on. Chris Whitty is a guy who hopefully is a solid player for us. We call him as a 20-year-old, so maybe, these numbers are just the fact that he was a 20-year-old going straight from AA to the major leagues, and hopefully he'll be able to figure things out as he progresses in his career. Ron Kennedy barely even played, like it doesn't even count, but he's going to be on the major league roster next year as well. And then Marte is a guy who we are going to trade at the deadline because he is just not good. Like, if we look at our major league splits here, no, major league splits, September, just awful. July, awful. April, May, June, awful. Just an awful season for Marte here. Negative WAR. Had a bad year last year. Downgraded in 2026 because he had the rookie... Or what exactly happened with him? It was, he won Rookie of the Year in 2024 and Gold Glove. And then in 2025, they were like, hey, look at this season. You're incredibly good now. You're great defensively, and you are a good hitter. And then in 2026, they're like, hey, you've got MS. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And then 2020, and then at the end of, I think it was, in 2027, he like broke his kneecap or something. Missed a bunch of that season, and then this year he what else can you say? The fact that he was just awful. So we're going to try to probably trade him in the offseason, and, hopefully he is able to get something for us so we can dump that contract. And then Ben Tompkins, we've already gone over him. Just the classic, like, really good year. We buy it as arbitration. Then he has a shitty year and also tears his UCL. Classic Mariners stuff. Nathaniel Garabitos, great year for him. Extremely good year. He is, once again, one of our best pitchers. And, he strained his hamstring at the end of the season, so not a great thing there. But still a very good season. Chris Parks is a guy who I very much like as a utility backup player. I doubt he's ever a full-time starter for us, even if maybe he is. Maybe he's able to finally put together like a really good year next year or something in the major leagues. But as of right now, he is a guy who probably ends up being more of just like he's your backup who plays every single position, because Once again, the guy can play every single position. And if we take a look at the standings, here's what they look like. The Blue Jays won the AL East. The Red Sox get the wild card spot. The Rays miss out. The Tigers win the Central. The Rangers win the West. The wild card teams are Red Sox, Angels. We missed out by 4 games, and then the Rays missed out by 5 games. The Nationals won the East in the National League. The Marlins missed out. The Brewers and the Herons, the Jacksonville Herons, are in the playoffs this year, formerly known as the Pittsburgh Pirates. They were 2 games back of the Brewers from winning the Central. The Padres won the West. The D-backs get the wild card. And the Cubs missed out by 3 games of the wild card. The Marlins 6 and Phillies 7. So then if we take a look at the hitting leaders around the league here, here's the McAnthony Valdez guy. Had another year where he led the league in average. Also was second in home runs behind Cody Bellinger, who hit 66 home runs. This guy is absurd. He hit 68 last year? Yeah, 54, 55, 68, 66. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. He's going to win another MVP. What's that, 7? And that's going to be 4 in a row. Jesus Christ. But Nolan Gorman's up here, too. What else do we got? OBP was Fernando Tatis Jr., slugging percentage was Valdez with a 700 slugging. OPS was Valdez, Bellinger, Tatis. There's that Burke guy. Or no, this is a different guy, isn't he? Yeah, this is a different guy. This isn't the guy that my pitcher fought, that Dunn fought. This is a different guy that they have. So the Phillies are a team to watch out. They've got a couple of young, really good hitters. Tatis, actually, wow. So Bellinger might not win MVP. They might give the Tatis, actually. It'll be interesting, because they're really close. Both of them deserve it, but it'll be interesting to see who gets MVP between Tatis and Bellinger in the National League. The American League will probably just end up being Vladdy again. The hits leader was C.J. Abrams of the San Diego Padres, actually tied with Alek Thomas of the D-backs. The doubles leader is Robert Hassel III. All right, none of our guys were on the hitting leaders, but let's move on to the pitching side of things, where the ERA leader was Jesus Esquivel, I'm not even going to try to butcher that name, but from the Jacksonville Herons. Then the guy from the Rangers, who's just all of a sudden really good. Probably a big reason why they're a really good team right now. He might even win Cy Young. The saves leader was that guy from the D-backs, Cullinane, whatever you say his name is. The WAR leader was Pearson, Reed, Doug Ade, probably Ade from the Nationals. There's the David John Hers guy. Strikeout leader was Nate Pearson of the Phillies. And then the only guy we had on the list here was the fact that Garabitos had a 100% save percentage, which is absurd. He was, he finished 37 games, but I guess he had 27 save appearances, or save chances, and he had 27 saves. So just absurd season. Probably why he's at a 2 WAR 2 years in a row now as a guy who is mainly a closer. Or he was a setup guy last year, but mainly a back end of the bullpen guy with like a couple spot starts here and there. Wow. So, that's fantastic. Great way to cap off the season there. Hey, your guy that was just injured, diagnosis pending, well, he tore his labrum. Fantastic. Yoan Ibar. Just wonderful. Just wonderful. Even better. Chris Parks here suffered a setback from his fractured ulna and is now going to take 6 more weeks to come back to play, and he's going to undergo surgery tomorrow. I'm thinking that our trainer that we hired, he's going to need to go bye-bye. This guy, bye-bye at the end of the season. Holy hell. Alrighty, so there's the season score, an average season score, which is still unacceptable. And your 2028 World Series champions are the Toronto Blue Jays, as they pretty much just ran through everybody in the... not ran through. There was a couple tough series, but they took out the Rangers in the DS. Then they took out the Tigers in the LCS, moved on to the World Series where they took out the Padres, and you can see here the Jacksonville Herons actually won their wild card game, but then immediately got swept by the Padres. The Nationals easily took out the Brewers, and then they got easily taken out by the Padres, and then the Blue Jays win the World Series as they're the 2028 World Series champions. Vladdy now has a World Championship And so does Juan Soto. So Vladdy and Juan Soto. That should have been Kelnick and Soto, man. It should have been Kelnick and Soto. And that was I was going to say they were an 87-win team, and that was my record. But they were a 92-win team. So it's not like they were like an insanely good team. You know, like they could have easily just as been the wild card team. Also, their pitching stunk. They were like a really bad pitching team. Their offense is just really good because it's just they have the opposite of our problem where they play in a boom box. I mean, anybody that's watched Toronto Blue Jays games on TV knows that just like everything that's hit in that park looks like it's going 9,000 miles, which is probably why their fan base thinks that even shit that's hit like 10 feet is just like an absolute bomb. But with that being said, that is the end of the 2028 season. We're going to be heading into an off-season that should be very interesting because we have a lot of guys that are going to be leaving, a lot of decisions to make, and probably an extremely new-looking roster heading into 2029.